Hello, everyone. It's me, UE5 BP Guru, and the time has come. It's 2024. Well, I tell a little lie. I'm starting a little bit earlier than I thought I would, um, just so I can get the project set up and get going. So I'm technically classing this as week one, day one. But yeah, we're going to be launching the start of our the day before game. I've got a few things I want to talk about in this episode, but mainly we're going to be talking about setting up the game and getting going because it's the first episode. So without further ado, let's click launch and get a project going. Okay, so this is the 5.3.2 engine. You'll notice we've got a few options here. Very nice early kind of setups we can start with. We're going to start with a third person one, and I'm going to change the name to the day after. It's called the day before, isn't it? Yeah, the day after, the day before. We're going to enable ray tracing because they got the fancy graphics and we want the same. We're going to keep the starter content and we're just going to keep everything as is. So we're going to create. I'll see you in like 6 hours when this decides to open.
1 hour later.
So while we're waiting, I just thought we'd have a quick little run through this list that someone put together of all of the assets that were supposedly used in the game. There's apparently even more than what's on this list, but some of them just seem lazy, a bit silly. They've done ones like using the advanced third-person camera, which is $100. Oh my god! Why would you ever use that unless you were panicking and you were like, "I need to get everything done today"? There's like an asset dialogue system, which is kind of cool, but not something that would take very long to reproduce. Not worth $70 when you're making your own game, and you're supposed to have a team and things like that. There's an easy voice chat, which was $75. Okay, fine, maybe. If you really did struggle to produce that yourself, there's a quest system, which was $35. Instance tools, which is insane. When you have the foliage tool and all that, you can use the foliage tool for anything static. So very crazy. They bought $150 sky creator. What? Like, why? That to me is just ludicrous. Just some crazy stuff. Like, they bought a 7-car pack for $190. Why? Like, are you that lazy that you couldn't just produce 7 cars? You had a team supposedly, and you were that lazy you couldn't produce just 7 cars. Like, madness. The American Retro Cafe is one of the things that I've actually got, weirdly, which I thought was quite funny. This one here. So yeah, might add that into the old game. Set up ourselves a little American Retro Cafe to start off with in the beginning. But there was just like bedroom kits and like sofa bed kits, and a lot of beds were bought apparently. Arctic bases, the skate park for $15, I think, is a steal. So that's pretty cool. I can understand them using that. Things like bathroom sets. I have no problem using assets. Like, I think that's fine to do. But to this extent, it's a bit excessive. Like all the little things, like if you're like, oh, I can't be bothered to make 20 different road signs, I'll just buy one road sign pack and I have my 20 road signs. Fine. Okay, cool. I can understand that. But going to this level is just nuts. Like, you didn't do the buildings, but you also didn't do the little stuff. Like, do one or the other. Like, okay, you don't want to do the detail stuff, fine. Buy the detail stuff. That's understandable. But do the buildings at least, like, there's got to be some sort of payoff. Like, what did you actually do for 5 years? I'm starting to rant again. It's because I'm waiting for the project to open. I just thought it was interesting. As I said, there's a couple of things in here I actually have just from free stuff, which I'll add into the game. Which is kind of interesting. But there's a lot of stuff in here. It's very expensive, very weird that they use this much in there. But yeah, I just thought I'd quickly go through it while I was waiting for the project to open. So yeah, I'll see you when the project's open, I guess.
One eternity later.
Finally, the project is open. It didn't take that long. I may have exaggerated a little bit, but we have a project. It's a blank third-person project. If you press play, he runs around. It's got no skin in the minute, but that's fine. It's loading in. What do I want? It done immediately? Of course not. So that's loaded in, and the great thing is if we up the number of players and change it to that we're clients, we'll be able to see ourselves running around the map. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. It's working as intended. You won't be able to see the other screen, but the other player can see us moving around. It works. It's fine. Okay, so I think the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to get the movement and all that sort of stuff done, like the crouching, things like that. So we're going to go straight into this action folder, and we're going to create two inputs. We're going to create one called IA_crouching, and the other one we're going to create is sprinting. So IA_sprinting. We need to go into our inputs, go into the IMC default, and in our mappings, we're going to create crouching, and we're going to do one for sprinting. And crouching, we don't want left shift, we want the C, and then in this one we want shift, left shift, like so. So that sets that up. We don't need to touch that again. Always save in between doing anything major. I say that's not major, but it's enough to warrant a save, I guess. Okay, so there's a couple of things we need to do here. The first thing we need to do is we need to get our sprinting input action, and we need to get our crouching action event as well. And the one thing we need to do is change our speed. Speed, it will denote whether we're sprinting or not. Now, we'll only ever be able to sprint when we're walking, so this should hopefully be relatively simple. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a server set movement speed, and we're going to do that on the server. And the only thing that we'll need to do for this one is grab our character movement, set max walk speed, and I'm going to plug this into here. So this is going to come from our client and send it through to the server to tell everybody else what speed we're going. Remember, the video trailer, everything was a lot clunkier than it normally would be. So that's why we set it to something lower. We want to be walking at 200 and running at 400. We also need to go into character movement, and we will need to set that max walk speed to 200, which I've already done. So there we go. Jobs are good. And if we just test that, and I've already got it set up to client, we're going to run. Now we are running, but what's not happening is it's not being passed through to the other clients. So what we need to now do is we take that server movement set, we're going to create another custom event, and we're going to call this client set movement speed, and we are going to set that on multicast. So it passes it through to everyone else that this is happening. And so what we'll do is we'll plug this in here like so. We're going to plug our max walk speed in there, and we're also going to plug in that character movement reference so it knows which character movement is being changed. Easy. And then this basically sets through from our client through to the server and then through to everyone else and updates. So now if we play again, now I didn't realize you guys couldn't actually see the other screen, so I'm going to drag that on this time, and you can see it changes his movement style to that of what the other clients can see.
It's working! It's working!
Working as expected. One thing chicked.
What did he say?
Checked off the list. The next thing we're going to do is basically create a crouch movement. Now, I don't actually have any crouch animations, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the wonderful library of all my wonderful assets here. Here we go. Lovely. Click on all. No, we're not. We're going to click on animations. So I've got a lovely little set of animations here, some of which will have some crouch animations that we can take advantage of. As you can see, this mobility starter pack works a treat. If you've worked with these mannequins before, you'll know that Quinn derives from Manny. So all your animation stuff needs to go into Manny, and Quinn will automatically get that set up for her. So we'll go into Manny, and now typically what you would do is you'd run it on here, right? You'd run the movement update on here. We don't want to do that. The reason we don't want to do that is because what will happen is it will run every tick. It's very expensive to do. The more stuff you put on that tick, the more it's going to lag out your game, the more resources it's going to use. So we want to try and avoid that if we can. And there's a very fun way we're going to be doing it. You'll probably, if you've worked in multiplayer, you'll probably know where I'm going with this. I'm not actually meant to be doing this as a tutorial, by the way, guys, so I'm not going to show you everything normally. Most of it will eventually just become updates and a little brief explanation of what I'm doing. But I thought for this first episode, why not, right? Movement type. We're getting the movement type. We're going to go into our animation graph. It looks great as is, but we don't want to plug that in. I'm going to change main states to walking. We're not going to be touching that much after this for now. We need to create a new state machine. It's broken. Don't worry, guys. We're going to fix it. Don't panic. I know, I hear a lot of you panicking already. Don't worry about it. We're going to do crouching like so. We're going to grab this movement type, pull that bad boy out, and we're going to do a blend pose. We'll do movement type like so. And we'll have this lovely jubbly node here. And we're going to right click and we're going to click walking and we're going to click crouching. And we're going to plug walking into the walking and a crouching into the crouching. And by default, we're going to set this movement type. It's already set to walking. Never mind, ignore me. And we'll compile and it should automatically fix him up. There we go. He's fixed. See, panic over. Don't worry about it. We need to add something into that crouching. But first, we need to work out how we're going to change our crafting. Well, our crouching, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Hi.
Okay.
Sequence node, just here. Chuck that in there. Doesn't matter too much. Doesn't have to be neat, right? It's only me working in it, right? Put that one in there, and we're gonna get anim instance from our mesh, the wonderful mesh. There it is, and we're going to cast to Manny to get that animation reference. And we're going to promote to a variable. And we're going to say this is our anim BP ref. I've covered it up. I can't see if I spell it right. There we go. Compile that. Looking good. That's all we need. And then from here, so this is for crouching. We're going to take our movement speed because we want to change that. We don't want that to be the same. We're going to change it to 150 for crouching for now and 200 back to the walking. And then we need to create a lovely new custom event. There we go. And we'll call this set movement type. I should have put server at the start. Server movement type. There we go. And all we need to do is drag this bad boy out, set it, and plug this straight into here. And we're going to set this up as a rep notify. The reason being is we want this to update every time it's called upon. And so to do that, we're going to do server set movement type. And we're going to set this to crouching. And we're going to set this to walking. So that when we come off of it, so we have to hold our crouch down. I might change that, but for now, we're going to have to hold it down. Just go with it. All right, just go with it until we get it working. We'll click into our rep notify. We're going to grab that anim BP reference. And we're going to set our movement type. And we're going to plug that plug it in. And all we should need to do now is plug in our own movement type from our player into that anim one. And that will automatically update it every time it needs to be called.
Nice.
Oh yes, because of this. Let's do this first, and then we can check if it's working. So if we right click, we'll go into animations, and we're going to create a blend space. It's going to do it from the mannequin, And now the other thing we need to do is we've got some animations in here now that we want to use, and they're not set up for crouching. They're not set up for our Manny or our Quinn characters. So that's a bit of a problem because we can't access them until we've done that. So I recently, very, very recently learned how to do this to replace the skeleton. There's actually a wonderful little option I never knew about. I wish I knew this when I started my first person series because it would have made my life way easier. But you can replace the skeleton. Very simple. And it will just automatically do this on here. And you'll see it updates there. And we also want to do our crouch one. So replace the skeleton for this one. Same thing again. And you'll notice something when you open these up, that they do not look quite right. They look a bit elongated. And there's a reason for that. Oh my god, look at it. It's like it's plasticine. And what we need to do, it's actually very simple. It's a bit long-winded though, so I might skip ahead on this part. But if you click on this, you can show retargeting options. You'll notice that all of these are animation scaled. Well, we're going to go through these and change every single one other than the pelvis to skeleton. Everything else can go to skeleton except for that pelvis one. It needs to stay as animation. Otherwise, I'll show you what happens. It'll pings it up. It just messes up with the actual animation itself. So we're going to change every one of these to skeleton. I will be back shortly, and we'll carry on straight after that.
It's been 84 years.
Okay, she's looking a lot more normal, which is great. The only other thing I need to mention on this is that you won't need to repeat this for every other one. If we save this and we go into, for example, the crouch walk loop, you'll see that all the proportions are back to normal for this one as well. 0 and 150. And so you can see that's how it's walking. Save that. Don't forget to save all occasionally so you don't lose any progress. We'll go into our AP Manny and we're going to plug in that crouch now. Is the plan. There's the crouch. That's fine, I guess. Didn't think I could do that, but I did it. It's fine. Ground speed. Get ground speed and plug that in. Promote direction to a variable. Not that we're going to be worrying too much about direction at the moment, but you still need it in there. It will error out. We can now go back to the item graph and our crouching is in place. So let's click play and see what happens now. Okay, so nothing happens now. Ooh, interesting. That would help, wouldn't it? So running that on the server would probably be the issue we're having here.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Okay, let's just try it like that. Let's see if that works. There we go.
I'm proud of you, you know that. I hope you do.
And it's only the idle that's not really sitting right, so it's fine. We'll find another one. The last thing I'm going to do is on here, because you noticed it just then, I was speeding while crouching, is put in a movement type and switch on enum. And the only time I want to be able to sprint is when I'm walking. And the only time I want to stop sprinting is also when I'm walking. So we'll plug that in there and plug that in there. And if we go back in and crouch, we should hopefully not be speed. I shouldn't be able to speed. His crouch is back to normal. He's just back to floating a little bit, which is fine, I guess. And we can't sprint and crouch, but I can let go of the crouch. If I hold down crouch, if I hold down sprint, sorry, and I click crouch, it stops the sprint. And if I let go while holding sprint down, it can start running again. So that's working, which is great. And we should be able to work with that. I wanted to get a lot more done this episode. I still probably could, I guess, if I condense everything down. But the next thing I want to do is the player HUD and start working on things like inventories and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to end this one here because I think we've got more than enough to make an episode without it being like an hour long. And I might do a second episode like very quickly afterwards with some newer things added to the game. I will add in a new world where I can start kind of world building in, just putting some kind of fancy stuff together. But for now, I'm going to concentrate on code. I'm concentrating on the code. But thank you so much, guys, for supporting and watching this video. You know, two things that this video proved was that crouching, how easy was that to get into the game without it being buggy? And, you know, the other person didn't just see me sliding around, you know, which is one of the issues I know that they had in the day before. So already I'm proving this game is better than the original. But like, if you're new here, subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Much love. Take care. Bye.